the Mark 1 Mazda MX5. Unos Roadster if it's an import, and in fact if you're in America it's known as the Miata. This video I'm going to take a look at why the market has changed in these over the last few years and why 2023 is set to be a boom year regarding values. 8 reasons why now is the time to get in before it's too late. Welcome to another fast and fun video. Number 1 is the U-shape, the appreciation depreciation U-shape graph. You buy new at a certain value, and then as you use the vehicle, as it ages, it decreases in value, it depreciates in value. It gets to a position at the bottom of the U-shaped curve that could be 10, 15, 20, even 25 years before it bottoms out. It bumps along, and then you will see, through supply and demand, appreciation. I've been closely watching Mark 1 prices over the last 5 years. That turn from bumping along, bottoming out, and now starting to go up has happened. Each year, there was 5 years ago, there were still £1,000 MX5s available, Mark 1s available. Those have absolutely gone. I picked up this for less than £1,000 5 years ago. The £2,000 cars have now gone, unless you want serious project to invest in. These cars now are up at £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 if you look at the distribution of prices. So distribution where the bulk sit, the average sits, not at either extremity. These are now, they've gone through that U-shape, they're now climbing, and 2022 shows that has accelerated more than in 2021, which was more than 2020. These are going up and they're starting to increase by the gradient, the rate of increase is increasing as well. And that's why I think, as number 1, 2023 is going to see even bigger increases than we had in 2022. Number 2 is the numbers. You see, the Mark 1s were made for a long period of time, 89 through to 97, 8 years, and they sold globally in huge numbers. But those numbers now have been dropping. They've been dropping for many, many years because they were relatively cheap cars to buy new. They've got to a point that they just weren't financially worth keeping on the road, repairing them, specifically around rust. And when it comes to rust, it used to be the UK cars suffered more, get the JDM imported Unos Roadsters, but the fact is most of the Unos Roadsters have been in the country for 10, 15, 20 years' time, so therefore they are prone to rust. So all types now are absolutely prone to rust. When they were only worth £1,000, if they were in a bad state, it just wasn't worth keeping them on the road. So numbers have been dropping and been dropping fast and quick, year after year after year. And that is the supply demand. And what's that is helping now bump prices back up. Cost of ownership. You see, these cars are still relatively cheap to buy, and I actually don't think you can do motoring. The running costs of these are, I think, as cheap as you're likely to ever see. So in times of difficulty, financial difficulty, cost of living crisis, with fuel, with energy prices, with mortgage rates that we all know about, actually being a bit shrewd in regard to ownership costs is actually quite a clever thing to do. And these don't come much cheaper. Let me give you an example. If my engine goes bang, if there's a problem with the engine, you don't necessarily even have to fix it, because you can get new engines for the same price as putting new pads and discs on the front of my Renault Megane RS250. And putting another way, I've totted up how much this car's cost me to run this car for the best part of 5 years, and it's less than it cost me to run my Mercedes SL500 for 6 months. Cheapest chips driving, in times like we're heading into in 2023, the Mark 1 MX5 makes absolute pure sense. Number 4, we need to look back at history. And let's look back at what has happened to the 1990s Japanese sports car market. We all know about Skyline GTRs, we all know about Mitsubishi Evos, but look at some of the other cars, the Supras. Look at the Nissan 200SX, or better known as the S14 Silvia. You couldn't give them away 10 years ago. They were 2 a penny. And now they command significant money. In fact, almost bar any, the 1990s Jap sports car market has gone mad over the last 10 or so years and will continue to thrive. History tells us that. Apart from this, the little Mark 1 that seems to have missed the boat, predominantly because of the numbers, but as I've said above and before, with numbers dropping, they might be at the back of the trail of high, fast-rising Japanese sports cars, but they will follow suit, and the journey has already started. And at number 5 is the competition. You see, the Mark 1 doesn't really have much of a competition, barring perhaps the mid-engined MGF, which was, I would argue, much, much rarer, not as good, and probably far, far more expensive because there's so few of them around. So really, to pick a direct rival that's affordable and that's reliable, the Mark 1 really is playing in a match with only one car itself. So for me, number 5 doesn't really have any competition. And number 6 is performance. You might ask, what? Well, real world performance. This, my own 1.8, delivers, or did deliver, back in 1993, 128 brake horsepower. Not a lot back in 93, even less nowadays. But the fact remains, with our roads getting ever busier, with traffic, cars, congestion, with cameras, the ability to take performance to another level on the road is becoming more frustrating than enjoyable in times. But yet, with my Mark 1, I can drive that at 9/10, but still remain legal and safe. And sometimes fast, enjoyable fun doesn't need 3, 4, 500 brake horsepower. Sometimes you just use what you've got, and being able to rev a car out and take it up and back down the gearbox within legal speed is sometimes a pleasure that nowadays is not easy to find. And number 7 is, people have been telling you for years, specifically the media, TV programmes, YouTube, magazines, forums. They've been saying the Mark 1s are destined to climb. Hold on to your Mark 1s. The time will come. They've been telling you, and it's eventually happened. Sometimes the media are right. And then finally, number 8. And for me, the main reason that you need to own a Mark 1. There we go. We laugh, we joke, but there's nothing quite like 1990s pop-up headlights that, unfortunately, we'll never ever see again. There we go. My 8 reasons. Hope you've enjoyed them, as always. If you have, please thumbs up. If you've got any factors, views on Mark 1 prices, please drop them in the comments below. And stay tuned. There'll be another video next week. Thanks for watching.